Godzilla is back. And as we near the release of Godzilla King of the Monsters, we're going to recap everything we know about the highly anticipated sequel to Godzilla that was originally released in 2014. Before we get into it, remember to follow us on Twitter and join the other residents that receive news earlier before the videos are even out, and join fellow monster fans in conversations with us from DangerVille about the latest releases. I'm your host Alistair, and welcome to DangerVille. Godzilla King of the Monsters is part of Legendary's very own MonsterVerse, a series of films that are linked by a common similarity: giant monsters, super species that roamed the Earth millions of years ago. This will be the third film in the cinematic universe, with the predecessors being Godzilla in 2014, originally directed by Gareth Edwards, followed by Kong Skull Island in 2017, that was directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts. King of the Monsters is directed by Michael Dougherty, that previously made the cult Christmas horror film Krampus and the independent horror film Trick or Treat, both of which haven't achieved blockbuster levels of success, but Dougherty has made an impact across a dedicated community that appreciate the films he's made. His style tends to be a blend of humour consisting of dad jokes, which contrast with the horror, and we can see some of that in the trailers.
You got a catchy name for this one?
Ghidorah.
What?
Ghidorah.
It's simply some light humour so the film doesn't get too depressing. This unique style is expected to leave an imprint in King of the Monsters. The film has been praised for some of the beautiful shots we've been getting from the clips currently available, and to commend the effort, the cinematographer is Lawrence Sher, who's worked as a director of photography on films such as the Hangover movies, War Dogs, and the upcoming Joker film. But Godzilla is likely to be his best work yet, and I'm very happy that people are being encouraged to see the film on the biggest screen possible, so we can take in all the beautiful scenes. We have a great cast joining us for King of the Monsters, such as Millie Bobby Brown, who will be playing the lead of the film, Madison Russell. She got her big break in the hit Netflix series Stranger Things. However, this will be her first feature film, and she looks like she's going to do a great job. Her father in the film, Mark Russell, is played by Kyle Chandler, who you monster fans might recognise from Peter Jackson's King Kong. And her mother, Dr. Emma Russell, is played by fantastic actress Vera Farmiga, who starred in Bates Motel, The Departed, The Conjuring series, and much more. Ken Watanabe plays Dr. Ishiro Serizawa, a returning character from Godzilla 2014 that plays one of the lead scientists at Monarch, alongside the fantastic actress Sally Hawkins that starred in such films like Shape of Water, Paddington, and Submarine. She plays another Monarch scientist called Vivian Graham. Charles Dance plays Jonah Allen, an antagonist in the film. You Game of Thrones fans might recognise him as Tywin Lannister. He's a fantastic actor, and he will hopefully add that bit of cunning and style that you'd typically associate with an antagonist. The rest of the notable cast includes Thomas Middleditch, who plays Sam Coleman, Bradley Whitford, who plays Dr. Stanton, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. Yep, that's Ice Cube's son, who got a breakout role in Straight Outta Compton. In King of the Monsters, he plays Barnes, a chief warrant officer. Expect a brilliant performance from all of these actors, thanks to Dougherty being an advocate for real sets and practical effects. The actors actually had expertly designed sets for them to work in, and not just a solid green screen. Dougherty would actually play pranks on the actors during filming. They had a custom-made speaker system that was designed to imitate the monster roars, and during filming would blast the sounds at full volume, so whenever you see an actor jump when Godzilla roars, that's a genuine reaction. If you're a bit lost on the plot of the MonsterVerse up to this point, let me bring you up to speed in the simplest way possible. In the 1950s, nuclear tests woke up a giant creature, an alpha predator, a titan, codenamed Titanus Gojira. With the aid of nuclear bombs, they tried to kill it, but to no avail. Following this event, Monarch, a government-led organization, was created to locate and track undiscovered titans around the world. In 1973, at the end of the Vietnam War, funding for Monarch was dwindling and money was being relocated to the war effort as there had been no signs of titans for years. So in a last-ditch effort, a team was set out to a previously undiscovered island which had been cleverly named Skull Island. which had been found thanks to advancements in satellite technology. The team was led by Monarch researchers Bill Randa and Houston Brooks, with assistance from Lieutenant Colonel Preston Packard and his squad of soldiers. Upon reaching the island, they began dropping scientific instruments, explosives that would map the areas below the surface. They quickly began receiving information that the ground was hollow, which supported his crackpot theory that passageways were used by these giant monsters to travel around in. However, Packard's team were immediately met with retaliation from another Titan, a protector of the island, which was named Kong by the islanders. A giant ape-like creature with insane levels of strength quickly eradicated most of the escort team. Colonel Packard, in a fit of rage, led a daring mission to take Kong down, as revenge for killing his soldiers. He almost succeeded by burning Kong alive, but Kong pulled through and killed Packard. Not without waking up a giant skull crawler codenamed Ramarak, the creature single-handedly responsible for killing Kong's parents. Kong and the Skullcrawler had an epic battle, a fight for Skull Island, and with the humans' help, Kong succeeded and disemboweled the creature. The remaining members of the team made it out with new knowledge of the Titans. For the next few decades, knowledge of the Titans would remain classified, and cover-ups would become the new norm for Monarch. But in 1999, a creature burrowed towards Janjira, Japan, in search for radiation to feed on. This caused a local nuclear power plant to collapse, killing dozens of people who had not been evacuated. For the next 15 years, this would remain covered up as a simple nuclear disaster. However, in 2014, when Joe and Ford Brody went back to Janjira looking for answers, they found that the area was in fact not irradiated. They were then captured and brought to the destroyed power plant for questioning, which was now a Monarch research facility, and inside the facility was a cocooned creature, a Muto, massive unidentified terrestrial organism that had been absorbing the radiation that would have emitted from the plant. This creature then burst from its cocoon, destroyed the facility, and flew away in search for a mate, and in the Muto's outburst, Joe Brody was unfortunately killed. In Las Vegas, another Muto was found to have escaped from a nuclear dump, and it made its way towards the city and began a path of destruction as it made its way to the other Muto to breed. Titanus Gojira, now simply named Godzilla, had sensed an imbalance of nature and began to make its way towards the brooding Mutos to prevent them from breeding and infesting the world. Godzilla and the male Muto met in Hawaii and duked it out, and without the female Muto as backup, left the male with no option but to retreat. At this point, the cat was out of the bag. News of the Titans has been spread, and the world was left terrified. The military hastily made a plan to launch a nuke at the location that Godzilla and the Mutos would be clashing, San Francisco. Ford Brody, a bomb deactivation expert, was brought onto the mission in case things didn't go to plan. Dr. Ishiro Serizawa, a Monarch scientist that studied Gojira, stated that a nuclear bomb will not work, and that the mission was futile, and that all the humans needed to do was let them fight. The hulking Titans met in San Francisco and proceeded to lay waste to the surrounding buildings, killing hundreds in the process. But whoever comes out on top would be the ruler of Earth. After a squad that included Ford Brody dropped into San Francisco, they began a mission to remove the nuke from the area to reduce potential casualties. Though, after retrieving the radioactive weapon that was being used by the Mutos to fertilize the eggs in their nest, Ford doused the area in petrol, which let off a giant explosion, killing the Mutos' offspring. This gave Godzilla time to build up enough energy to use his atomic breath, a devastating ranged attack, to severely burn the grieving Titan, leaving it incapacitated. The male Muto came to her assistance, however, without the help of his mate, wouldn't last long, as Godzilla was able to crush the creature with his tail. Ford led a daring mission to place the bomb on a boat and drive it as far away from the city as possible. With the female Muto not far behind, chasing Ford for causing the death of its babies, it killed the rest of the squad, and with the bomb's hardwiring not opening up, preventing him from deactivating it, a hopeless Ford collapsed and accepted his fate. The female Muto approached Brody's vessel, but Godzilla came to his aid and decapitated the opposing Titan. Godzilla truly is the king of the monsters. Following this, Ford was reunited with his family, and a tired Godzilla retreated back to the ocean to rest as nature has been restored. That leads us to where we are now, a world fully aware of the existence of Titans and the devastation they can cause. With 17 currently confirmed Titans, more clashes are imminent. This is Monarch, signing out. As for where we are now, let me fill you in, and don't worry, I'll keep it as spoiler-free as possible by just informing you based on what legendary is revealed. Monarch has grown a vast amount since 2014, and funding has increased significantly. Monarch paleobiologist Dr. Emma Russell and animal behavior expert Mark Russell, two of the protagonists in the film, unfortunately lost a child in the San Francisco attacks, and have since divorced, and share custody of their child, Madison Russell. Dr. Emma Russell, however, has a plan to release an ancient alpha predator, King Ghidorah, a ginormous titan with 3 heads, 2 tails, and wings, often referred to as the Devil with 3 heads. She will do this alongside Jonah Allen, part of an eco-terrorist organization that set out to wipe out humanity, a species in which the group consider as an infection to the world for destroying the environment. Think of this group as Godzilla's equivalent to Thanos, in that they must sacrifice a lot in a maniacal goal of saving the world. Godzilla will of course take notice of the imbalance of nature and attempt to prevent Ghidorah from claiming the mantle of King of the Monsters. The humans have developed a technology that allows them to communicate with the Titans, being used to wake up Ghidorah from its long slumber. The technology will also be used to communicate with Godzilla to let him know that we're on his side, and that will offer assistance to take Ghidorah down. The ethics of this technology will be brought into question when Sam Coleman, Monarch's director of technology, is questioned in court, being asked the question whether it's the best idea to make Godzilla our theoretical pet. But Ashiro Serizawa reaffirms that we can't control Godzilla and that we will be his pet. We'll be seeing the monsters fighting in various different locations around the world, including the Antarctic Monarch Research Base, the Pacific Ocean, Boston, and Washington, D.C. So if any of you are from these cities, be sure to keep an eye out on whether you'd survive. Michael Dougherty has also stated that there are significantly more monster fights than both Godzilla and Kong Skull Island. So for those that were left feeling unsatisfied by Godzilla back in 2014 because of the way it cut away from the kaiju action, you have nothing to worry about. Godzilla has changed a bit from the last film, and has more pronounced claws on his feet, in response to complaints that the feet in 2014 were too stumpy. And the dorsal plates on the back are an almost one-to-one replica of the spines from 1954, a nice homage to respect Godzilla's roots. Godzilla has also grown from 355 feet to 393 feet. King Ghidorah is seen as Godzilla's arch-nemesis, and has been featured as the main antagonist for Godzilla across many different films. He's so strong that Godzilla typically needs the help of a handful of other monsters in order to take him down. Originally, Ghidorah's origins were alien, though this origin has changed over time, and the one in the MonsterVerse is most likely an Earth-based titan. Classic monsters Rodan and Mothra will also be featured prominently in the film, with Rodan initially being an antagonist on the side of Ghidorah and Mothra being a protector of nature alongside Godzilla. Rodan was initially featured in the 1956 Toho film cleverly titled Rodan. Rodan would go on to be featured alongside Godzilla, starting with Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Mothra was featured in the 1961 film Mothra. Mothra would go on to be featured in Mothra vs. Godzilla in 1964, and even have her own film series in the 90s titled Rebirth of Mothra. These aren't the only titans that will be seen in King of the Monsters, however, with a ridiculous 17 confirmed titans roaming the earth. Expect a good handful of these to be featured in King of the Monsters. The current names we have are Binyup, Typhon, Abaddon, Baphomet, Methuselah, Leviathan, Sargon, and of course, Kong. For those thirsty for some original creature designs, you'll certainly be very satisfied when King of the Monsters premieres. With the creatures being featured in the film noted, there are some films I'd recommend you view before you head into King of the Monsters. Of course, Godzilla 2014 and Skull Island, but so you know the backstory to some of the other titans featured in the film, I'd recommend the original Gojira, Rodan, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, and maybe even Destroy All Monsters if you have time. But those 5 films are vital to getting a grip of the monster's history. Like Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters will feature an after-credits scene that will of course give hints that link towards the MonsterVerse's next outing. Godzilla vs. Kong that will be releasing in March 2020. In Skull Island, they stated Kong is still growing, so expect him to be much bigger than he was in Skull Island, so be sure to stay put for a potential teaser for the next Clash of Titans. The Godzilla universe is so rich with a fan base that spans 60 years. This community is the most welcoming and pleasant one I've ever had the pleasure of making content for, so if you've never watched a Godzilla film before but are interested and have some questions, don't worry, just feel free to ask and we'll be glad to answer anything you want to know. Well, there we have it, everything you need to know before heading into the cinema to see Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and become a resident today, and join thousands of other Godzilla fans. Be sure to like today's video and leave a comment on what you're most excited to see in King of the Monsters. I've been Alistair, your Mayor of DangerVille, and we'll see you in the next one.